Tonight is a very special night. In many ways, we couldn't have scripted this any better in terms of what's going on in the world. I think Ian Bremmer is someone who needs no introduction. But today, we're going to have an opportunity to kind of exchange and have a conversation.
When I started Eurasia Group, it was back in 1998. We did not have a U.S. practice. We did not think of the United States as driving global risk. Today, the United States, of course, is the principal driver of global risk. I would say the consensus view was that over time, that the United States was going to become comparatively less powerful, China was going to become more powerful, the Americans would try to hold on to its own order for too long, the Chinese would try to supplant it with a different order. Not what's happening. The United States is clearly not in decline economically, it's not in decline technologically. The only way it's really in decline is politically. The U.S. had a political system that many around the world admired because it stood for things like freedom, like personal liberty, like a free market. Today, most people looking at the United States believe the U.S. stands for power and stands for pay to play. But what's driving even more concern is the fact that the United States and the president, with a cabinet that is completely loyal to him, and a GOP that's riding his coattails as opposed to the other way around in 2017, are doing what they can to change the rules of the global order. Because Trump has consolidated so much power around him in the United States. This is a man who feels supremely confident that his people love him and that he is right. I don't think he is as worried about what his day-to-day poll numbers look like. The United States still has checks and balances. You still have a Congress that says, actually, no, you can't undo a law that we passed on TikTok. You've got judges that will overturn your ability to suspend all federal grants by executive order. And the much bigger trait is Trump is 78, and in 4 years, irrespective, he's done. There are a lot of people in the world that need to understand that they and their governments and their companies are going to be around a lot longer than Trump. And so I caution all of us to recognize this is a marathon, not a sprint. The global order will not be what it was, but do not suddenly believe that everything has been thrown out. Unclear to me that an early meeting with Trump is a good idea. And I look at how incredibly cautious the Japanese are, how incredibly well prepared they're going to be. I don't want anything to go wrong, but I think this is going to be tough. And I think the relationship's going to be tough. You got to worry about the U.S.-China relationship. Other countries around the world, if they want to work with the Americans, then they're going to have to really put the walls up on China. And Japan is going to have a hard time with that because the most important relationship is with the U.S. overall, but the security relationship does not obviate the importance of the economic relationship with China. And it's going to be much harder for the Japanese to navigate that. I mean, when you're in a GZERO world, right, when you have an absence of global leadership, there are three ways you can get out. You can strengthen your existing institutions. You can build new institutions that better reflect the rules of the road today, or you can go to war. So if you look at our top risks report this year, you will note that the number one risk is not Trump. The number one risk is GZERO wins. Why is that? Because Trump is not the cause of this. He is the principal symptom politically. It has been caused by decades of people that have been able to capture the commanding heights of the economy and the political system and deploy it for themselves. So this is the difference between globalization, which has created a global middle class, and globalism, which has hollowed out the middle and working classes in the wealthy countries in the world. The technology companies have the most to win because they're increasingly grabbing sovereignty in large amounts of spaces over algorithms and what they do and how they're applied. Elon has made the most effective $250 million bet ever made on the history of the planet. And I think the implications of that are world-changing. As countries, I'd probably say the Gulf states. I think that they're very transactional. They work effectively with everyone. They've got a decent amount of money. They can invest big in new technologies. They are hugely capable as being partners into the global South in a way that America First doesn't play that well. If you were going to create Davos from scratch today, it'd be in the Gulf.
Ian, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for educating all of us. Thank you for being here tonight.